guys were coming off two of your better shooting performances of the season earlier this week, and it seemed to you had a really kind of slow start offensively. Was there anything you can kind of put your finger on that sort of led to the early offensive troubles?
No, I feel like there's nothing I can put my finger on, especially on the offensive end. I'm gonna come back and I give you an answer in a second, but like I think offensively we continue to grow with our ability to trust the pass, to get a piece of the paint. I think our pick and roll passing is improving, and I think we're getting some pretty good looks. Just weren't able to knock them down. I do wonder. There's nothing that can quantify this, but I do think some of those early fouls that we have on DeRozan, where you're jumping on pump fakes or your hands stuck in there, it just breaks your rhythm a little bit, and like you feel like the other team is gaining an advantage on you. So I do wonder sometimes when we don't have great game plan execution, how it affects our overall spirit.
I'm just going to follow up on that. Obviously, Levine and Sabonis and DeRozan got the line at least a good amount in the first quarter. Seemed like it got better as the game went on. But how just detrimental can that be sometimes just for the flow of a game when it's just feels like it's just very, very choppy and, you're always having to kind of start in a half-court set like that?
For sure. Like you just hit on the half court set, the fact that you had to play against a set defense. I also think it just does something to your rotations. If people are in foul trouble, you can't play them as long as you want to be out there, or you end up having to play some lineups that maybe hurt you on the offensive end or defensive, whatever it is. You might give up something. So the fouls, it's funny, the free throw disparity actually is to our favor. But like you said, it does something to your rhythm offensively. It does something to the rhythm of the game, and also your rotations.
In this game tonight and looking at the rest of the season, what are some markers that you and your staff have to define success in this last 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, I think that we are focused on, obviously, what is the competitiveness like, and that's not a statistical measure. It's just when you're watching the games, are you in your shift activity? Are you participating? Are you helping on the glass? Are you sprinting the floor offensively? Are you doing things that, just show competitiveness and overall togetherness and trying to impact the game as best as possible with or without the ball? And then I think just other metrics are more player development focused. Are you checking certain boxes defensively and offensively? And I think that the communication from the assistant coaches to the players of what's expected from them has been really good. Also just talking to players individually, they have goals of what they want to try to accomplish.
When on a 10-day contract in the league, it's both exciting to have a shot and also stressful to know that each minute matters in trying to get the next NBA contract. Jalen Sims, 7 points, 4 assists, 1 rebound in his first career game after 3 seasons with the Swarm. What did you see from him? What do you expect from him over the next week?
Very impressed with what Jalen gave us today. Not really surprised because it's how he plays in the G League. Just an overall great competitor and team guy. But I saw a guy defensively that had a pretty good grasp on who he was guarding and understanding tendencies and who he can shift off of, who he can go under or who he needs to go over on. I also just saw offensively, there was a closeout situation versus, I think it was McDermott. And, he caught it on the wing and he just drove it with a fearlessness, with a purpose, and got himself to the free throw line. So he's just got a knack on that offensive side of the ball of how he can be effective.
You've been on both sides of this in your coaching career. In this particular instance, the Kings need to win these games, must win, and then you guys aren't in that position right now. Can you feel the added intensity playing these games down the stretch, knowing that they're kind of in a do-or-die scenario?
Yeah, I think you definitely are mindful of the other teams coming in here and what their situation is for playoff seeding and stuff. And the West is obviously very chaotic and jumbled, and every game matters. And they're coming off of a loss versus Washington. So we understood what kind of intensity they were going to come out with. And I thought that the guys, started the game in a pretty good place. And then that second quarter, obviously, they found themselves a rhythm.
This time of year, when I guess guys like Grant Williams, the veterans who are around who aren't playing but are injured, having them around, especially Grant, like what's it do to the younger players to kind of maybe help push them in the right direction moving forward?
Yeah, I think, not having some of those guys around, number one, their voice during games is really great. KJ was guarding Fultz at one point during the game, and I hear Grant yelling, under, and, shift, and His understanding of the game is something that's like at a really high level. So anytime he can impart wisdom to the players during timeouts or in the heat of the moment, I think it's really helpful. And he's got everybody's attention in our locker room. Even some of the side conversations that he has with officials, I think sometimes is beneficial to our team, but also just trying to, hey, how can Tijon get better at screening? You just called an offensive foul on him. And, officials give him the respect and they give him great communication and a reasoning behind it. And he's able to relay that message, I think, and allows Tijon to sit on the bench and still focus on what he needs to focus on. But the other part that I think is invaluable, they get to watch his professional habits every day. Even as he goes through his rehab right now, he's on time for every appointment. He's engaged during games, film sessions, he's there. And so his presence is greatly appreciated in a lot of different areas.